Everybody talks about forgiveness to others, to yourself, but have you ever had a conversation of forgiveness to your nation? Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special episode on Made to Lead podcast, and we're talking about forgiving your nation. Now, I am so sure that whoever is watching this amazing episode, my dear amazing audience, you come from a specific country, you come from a specific continent, yes, and you are a citizen of that country. So, usually people ignore the effect that our nations have on us as individuals. So normally we look at how we can make our country better, how we can maybe become leaders or even help in doing ABC, but nobody talks about the amount of pain that you got from your country. If we look at Africa at large, I want to focus this episode strictly on Africa. If you look at Africa at large, you will notice that almost every African country has conflict somewhere. So wars don't have to be loud. Some of them are silent wars. But in most cases, I want you to think about countries that have gone through wars, that have gone through real trauma. Talk of South Sudan, talk of DRC, talk of some parts of northern Nigeria, talk of Somalia. You know, Africa, almost every African country has a record of war, of crisis, of bloodshed. We're living in the 21st century, but still, it's actually difficult to even get clean water. For some communities, it's even difficult for them to access quality education. Yet we still talk about this amazing and great continent. Personally, I am a Pan-Africanist and I love Africa. I love Africa, and I love to repeat it because I am a firm believer in the beauty, the future, and the potential that this continent has. But today, let's dive the conversation into the effect that your nation has on you. So normally, if you come from a war-torn country, imagine yourself you come from a country, and then abruptly war breaks, and then of course, when there is war, there is bloodshed. When there is bloodshed, there is death, crisis, displacement. I'm telling you, some people are still wounded. I think as a South Sudanese citizen, we have refugees still dead. As Congolese have refugees still dead. Sudan is bleeding, refugees still dead. Now, normally, when we look into these events that continue to happen, it has big effect on you as a citizen. Yes, don't be acting out there like, I don't care. No, you care. And even if you don't care, you will care. Because directly or indirectly, you're going to be affected by the things that are happening in this particular country. When war breaks in your country, you're likely to be separated from your families. It is so sad that ever since war broke, I know some families that have been separated for almost 30 or 40 years. Imagine, your parents, the last time they were with you was when you were younger, but now that you're reuniting again, is at a period in time when you're old and you don't understand. That's your whole childhood stolen away. How about mixed identities? Because of crisis in your country, you had to move out, you had to grow somewhere else, you had to learn a different language, you had to survive as a foreigner in another country, of which it's not easy at all. It comes with a lot of costs. Some of you, as you watch this video, your country or your government, you literally have loved ones that so-and-so was shot by the government, so-and-so was killed, so-and-so was done A, B, and C. You have records, And sometimes we give it names. We call it, it's armed robbers. It's not armed robbers. You and I know it's not armed robbers. You and I know that it's insecurity. These countries have insecurities. Maybe you're here, your homeland has insecurity. You can't sleep without hearing a gunshot. Yes, it happens. And it's not normal. I know some people, actually, as a South Sudanese, I know some people who tell me, gunshot is normal. It's not normal. The fact that we grew up hearing it, it's not normal. And we deserve a safer and a free South Sudan where all of us can be safe once again. So what am I saying? For you to become an agent of change and transformation to your country, you actually deserve to forgive your country. Currently, whenever a country goes through crisis or war, you develop resentment, you develop hate, and you develop bitterness towards your country. So even if you say you love South Sudan, you love Congo, you love your country, name it, etc., etc. When we look deep down into your heart, there is an effect that war has had on you. There is an effect that the insecurity, the killings, the losses have had on you. But for you to rise up, this is the main point of this video, for you to rise up, to change that country, to transform that country, or even to make Africa great once again, you need to forgive this continent. Yes, if we look at the history of Africa, we have the whole history of slave trade. Some people till today have not yet recovered from slavery. They have not yet forgiven this continent. It is very sad that in the 21st century, we still have people who believe that they should not have been Africans because they are not proud of this continent. They are not proud to be Black people. They are not proud to be of African descent. They exist. Yet on the other hand, we have people who are very proud of being Africans, very proud of who they are. Like myself, I'm a very proud African. I'm so proud to be African. But now the only distinction and the only difference is whenever there is resentment, if you're not comfortable with where you're from, if you're always angry, you're bitter, you're criticizing the government up and down, let me tell you something. The best thing we can do as a new generation is not to criticize. No, when you criticize, you're actually adding to the problem instead of reducing from the problem. You are supposed to stand out as a solution provider. This reminds me, I think a year ago, I had the honor to be invited during the Independence Day. I went as a speaker, and all the speakers that went before me were talking about the challenges that we are facing. Oh, we don't have good schools. Oh, we don't have this and that. But the one solid thing that came to my mind, I think I made my speech different by simply asking everyone, yes, we acknowledge that we're experiencing hardship as a country, but what are you doing as a person to make this country better? So, if you're not doing anything in the capacity of an individual to make this country better, how sure are we that you will actually make this country better in the capacity of a group or even the government? What am I saying? As Africans, we have the responsibility to forgive our continent, to forgive our nations, wherever you come from, wherever your country is from. You need to forgive your countrymen. You need to forgive your country for all the places where you feel they failed you. Forgive your government, because when you forgive them, that's when you can actually rise out as a solution. What am I saying? You cannot save what you criticize. You cannot build what you're breaking. I love what the Bible says. The Bible says that you need to pray for your leaders who are in power, regardless whether you believe in them or you don't. So the Bible is giving you a reminder to pray for them. The Bible is not saying pray for the leaders you like. It says praise for them. So when a leader holds a position, it is not only just a political position. It is also a spiritual position. He is more like the person God has placed for now to be in charge of you. So what am I saying? We need to develop a goodwill. We need to develop a clean heart towards our leadership, towards our government, regardless of the amount of pain that we feel they have committed to us. Because trust me, if you don't forgive your government, if you don't choose to become a healer instead of a breaker, in less than few years, you will actually be the people who will continue breaking or even causing pain to other people in that country. So what am I saying? You deserve to forgive your country. Let me share with you some interesting case studies that blew my mind when I was looking into this amazing topic. So firstly is South Africa. All of us know South Africa. When we talk about South Africa, you think of Nelson Mandela, you think of apartheid policy, you think of the white settlers, you think of Black people rising, and people call South Africa the Rainbow Nation. But I want us to look into the aspect of South Africa. South Africa went through apartheid policy for a very long time, an incident that created a lot of trauma for Black people in South Africa. If you have never watched the movie on South Africa, the movie of Sarafina, go ahead and watch it. It is important. You will see how Black people were killed. They went through a lot of torment, a lot of pain. They were enslaved. They did things that the average human being was not supposed to do, but they went through all these things. But then if you look at South Africa today, South Africa is one of the most solid nations on the African continent that is developing very fast, and it will take many years for some countries to even catch up with it. But what's the moral of the story? After Nelson Mandela was released from prison, when he stayed for prison for all this time, when he came out, he actually said he forgives the apartheid government. That was by then. So as we speak now in past tense, Nelson Mandela forgave the apartheid government. Another significant and tremendous man that blew my mind on this aspect and made me believe that indeed we need to forgive our government is the incredible man that is none other than Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. So this was a man in South Africa that led something called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So they formed this body to help South Africans heal and forgive the apartheid government. Bishop Desmond Tutu spoke about forgiveness every day in South Africa. He spoke about it in political rallies. He spoke about it in the parliament. He spoke about it in church. He spoke about it with people. And Desmond Tutu, or Bishop Desmond Tutu, is one of the people who contributed to what South Africa is today. No wonder he received the award for the Nobel Prize, the Nobel Prize laureate. He received it. What am I saying? When a country or when citizens choose to forgive their government, when they choose to forgive their systems, when they choose to forgive all the things that they are going through or the things that they went through in the past, it positions them to become people who can change and transform that nation. South Africa today is existing because of the power of forgiveness. If they had not forgiven, I tell you by now, there could not have been this coexistence in South Africa. What am I saying? Regardless of where your country is or what your country is, I want to remind you that every country has shortcomings and has weaknesses. But as citizens, you have the responsibility to actually rise up and become a solution to your country. Yeah, but it starts with forgiveness. When you forgive your government, when you forgive your nation, when you forgive the systems and the history of your own country, you will definitely become a solution provider. I am trying to invite the young generation. If you know you're hearing and you're watching this podcast, it's a reminder for you to reconcile and create space in your heart for forgiveness. Because what you don't forgive, you cannot build. The country you don't forgive, you cannot build. The government you don't choose to forgive, you cannot build. So if we really want to build, we need to learn to forgive, because there is power in forgiveness. Forgiveness can bring two nations together. Forgiveness can build a broken system. Forgiveness can change the history of a nation that was broken. So I want to encourage you that no nation is too broken to be fixed. This is a voice of hope to you and I. Let's rise together and we change the narrative. Thank you.